So yeah, welcome to another edition of the GreenBaje podcast. I'm your boy Ken. I'm the sorry, that is AJ. He's the green. I'm Ken. I'm the bitch. And this is the Super Bowl edition of the GreenBaje podcast, which we said that we weren't going to have, but after a game as epic as what transpired, we just had to come in
Had to
and show
talk
the
about it.
peoples.
Had to talk about it. Yeah.
It's true. As you can see, I'm smiling. My teeth are showing. AJ is not smiling so much. He's laughing, but he's not smiling. At least he was man enough to come back with a green shirt, whereas I'm rocking the red and white, similar to one of the teams last night on that Super Bowl. We had Super Bowl 57 in Arizona. So tonight is just all about the Super Bowl, where the Kansas City Chiefs to take on the Philadelphia Eagles. And the Chiefs came out victorious for the second time in the Patrick Mahomes era, their second Super Bowl win in the last 4 years. AJ, I'm giving you an opportunity to unburden your soul. What is your overall thoughts with regards to this Super Bowl?
Man, listen, don't get me wrong, I don't like either team. I respect the hell out of Patrick Mahomes, Andy Reid, and of course Travis Kelsey. I mean, there are a lot of other players on the team I like, but I don't know. They just kind of rub me the wrong way at times. But you've never heard me say a bad thing about them. It's just my personal preference. You know, I can't stand the Eagles because of obviously for obvious
History.
reasons. Yes,
History.
yeah, correct. But Philadelphia is close to my heart. I have lived there for had lived there for like 6 months. I still have family there, so some I actually still wouldn't even mind going back to live. Um, and plus, I must say that Jalen Hurts has made me a fan, and he has made me a fan. And he was one of the first people that I criticized, and I think it was very much warranted at the time. But man has improved leaps and bounds. I was actually in addition to that, a part of the reason, like I told you guys in the chat last night, that I wanted the Eagles to pull off this victory is because there's a Grenadian playing for the Eagles in Zach Pascal that was at formerly of the Colts, a wide receiver formerly of the Colts. He is a first generation American Grenadian. Both his parents are from Grenada. So, I mean, a Bajan got a Super Bowl. I wanted a Grenadian to have one as well. You know what I mean? It just wasn't to be. But since we don't have necessarily a topic on the run-on to discuss this, I have to talk about Jalen Hurts here
Sure.
because in the flow of the game, I look at the end of the day, I'm not gonna all the discussions we had last night. I'm gonna leave that right there. I'm not gonna bicker about any calls or anything like that. Or the Chiefs won the game. The Chiefs won the game, right? And they very much deserve to win. It is what it is. Like these games come down to tight margins. So it is what it is. But I was so impressed with Jalen Hurts last night. And a couple of years ago, I was not that high on him. And it was from the eye test. I mean, it's not that what I was seeing then was incorrect, but this man has improved leaps and bounds. And it's not, we always knew he had the ability to run the ball, but I'm talking about in terms of his actual passing, like the passing game. And, and I heard Dan Orlovsky say it, and I was thinking the exact same thing. I've never seen a man improve this much at passing because I don't know if you remember this. I don't think did I put it in chat or tweet it, but it would have been like a couple of years ago. I think, or even last season. There was a point in time when I tweeted that watching Jalen play football hurts, just trying to be a little clever, And remember when I was doing my segment on what I got right and wrong, he was one of the first people that I criticized him on the show, and then he was like the first person that came back and said, you know what, I was wrong about him. He's gotten better. He proved that he deserves a chance to be like the starting quarterback going forward. He's well beyond being just a starting quarterback, no, Ken. He is the face of the franchise. He is a young quarterback who's going to deserve his money. And at this point in time, there aren't many quarterbacks in this league who, if I had to pick one today for my team, that I would take ahead of Jalen Hurts. The composure that the man showed throughout the entire playoffs, and then to be in a Super Bowl your first time around, and like let's be honest, he was he was the better of the two quarterbacks in terms of overall stats last night. Obviously, Patrick Mahomes is a different level of beast, so he doesn't need as much time to be as dynamic. But Jalen Hurts was incredible in what he did last night, and some of the throws he made were so pinpoint. Like it some of they were in tight windows on a rope. It was in areas where only his receiver could get them. Obviously, like he was helped by some excellent catching. In some cases, even a few like bubbles and whatnot. But all of that is part of it. But he just put the ball in some excellent areas. Um, Even after the fumble, his head did not drop. When he picked the team back up, put the team on his back and carried them. When the Chiefs took the lead by 8 points, he was the man that rushed to get another touchdown and then rushed to convert the 2 point conversion. Man, I was so impressed. I'm actually a fan of Jalen Hurts now. Like I don't just think he is very good and deserves it. He's made me a fan, and I have no problem when quarterbacks prove me wrong. I mean, on the flip side, there's I've already known Patrick Mahomes is. You've never heard me say anything bad about Patrick Mahomes in terms of his talent and whatnot. I might have, you know, criticized him a little for this and that, like sportsmanship stuff. But in terms of talent, I've never denied that. So I don't. He didn't do anything last night, Patrick Mahomes. That surprised me. Like this is who the man is, and like I told you, like you remember when we were chatting last night, and I said, um, after that third quarter, again, I pointed this out to you so early in the season, and the ills of the third quarter of Philadelphia just
But I want you to stick a pin in that one
okay. All right,
because
cool.
we will discuss the game and the Eagles as a team in general in terms of what
That's fair.
happened
That's
with
fair.
them.
That's fair.
Um,
No, no. Let me just wrap this up really. So I was just saying that after that happened, essentially, and I kind of did the math in my head. That was when I gave up. I did the math in my head. I was like, all right, the Chiefs are going to have the last possession of this game, and there's no way that the Eagles from here are going to take enough of a lead that that the lead will be insurmountable. So that was the moment I realized the Chiefs are going to win this game.
mm,
It was after that play when they did have to punt in that third quarter. That's when you kind of and I know you said stick a pin, but we can still get back to it because there's more to say on that. But that's kind of when I knew that the Chiefs were about to come back and win this game because they were going to have that possession. Patrick Mahomes is not losing a tight game with the last possession of the game. He's not. So at the end of the day, it was a very well fought game by the Eagles, but credit to the Chiefs.
mm, okay. But I'm glad that you're able to say credit to the Chiefs today because if we had recorded this last night, I'm sure that it would have been something different coming from you. No, in relation to some of the things that you said, no, I haven't. You made mention of what Mr. Orlovsky said in relation to Jalen Hurts and his development. First off, first, just to give you a little peek behind the curtain, we're recording this on Monday. It is actually February 13th, but you're going to see this on Valentine's Day, so happy Valentine's Day to one and all, because we would not be sitting here
Yeah.
on the 14th of February, but we wanted to get something out there for you guys. No, you said that Jalen Hurts and his development was the one that stands out to you the most. And apparently, it stands out the most to Dan Orlovsky as well. But to me, while he has improved significantly, his is not the most miraculous development that we have seen in recent times.
Mm,
That goes to Mr. Josh Allen, who everybody knew was just athletic, but he
mm,
really had no accuracy to speak of. And now he is out here throwing with touch and throwing darts and throwing balls 40 yards down the field on a rope. So when they look at just as a pure passer and where they started from and where they are now, I would say that Josh Allen is probably the one that I give the biggest nod to in relation to how he has developed over time. But I don't even necessarily want to start with the game. because we made mention on when we did hashtag this just in
Hmm.
about one of the biggest headlines for us as Caribbean people and us as Bajans especially, and that is with the Right Honorable Miss Robyn Rihanna Fenty headlining the Super Bowl 57 halftime. Well, we heard she was headlining. We never expected that it was just going to be her by herself. But she came out, and as I say, she did the damn thing. So, AJ, how you feeling about Riri and her halftime performance?
It was good to see her back out. I would say it was good to see her back out. She was glowing, and for obvious reason, for obvious. I'm like anyone who has half a brain. It didn't take them long to realize the situation, right?
Mm-hmm.
And with that in mind, that is kind of why I don't blame her for how the performance went. But I have to say, first of all, let me put this disclaimer out there. I don't think it was in any way, shape, or form a bad performance or anything like that. But it was kind of dull to me. I ain't gonna lie.
Mm.
It was dull. And in the sense that with all the furor and excitement that was surrounding it going in, like prior to, I was kind of expecting a bit more in terms of like I guess it could be down to expectations then. I guess in terms of like a guest appearance from someone, like a little cameo from somebody, and then there were teasers like she sang certain songs that she collabed with certain artists on, and you're thinking in the back of your mind, all right, well, are they going to come out or? But no, it wasn't to be. I mean, someone did make a guest appearance, so congratulations to Riri on that. And ASAP, this man is living up to his name. After one comes two, boy.
As
Um,
soon as possible.
right, right. But congrats to them. I don't. It wasn't bad. Like I enjoyed hearing her music again. I enjoyed seeing her on the stage. Um, yeah, but I don't know. It. I guess even as well, hearing that there was like seeing her do the interview on what show was it, and when she mentioned like her Bajan heritage and whatnot, I guess I thought as well that they would have been a bit more in terms of like a reference to Barbados.
Hmm.
Um, so I guess all of that, based on my expectations, they were very humbled and eventually tempered. But I still did like to see her out there, but it wasn't like the greatest spectacle I've ever seen. But I have to
Hmm.
give her a pass because no one understand why. And then two finding out, I honestly didn't know this. I'm not gonna lie. I was very naive on this. I didn't know this until very recently that most of the times these artists put in their own capital to perform at the Super Bowl, and it's not.
Hmm.
I honestly didn't know that, right?
Hmm.
So with all of that in mind, that's why I can't even criticize because if you're not getting paid to do it, and this is your money that you're putting up, well, I get it. I get it.
Hmm.
You don't want to spend the bank and children on the way. You have a legacy to look forward to. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
But I would say I was happy to see her out there. Honestly, I am a huge Riri fan. As a Barbadian who grew up in Grenada, I've been defending Riri since Pond the Replay, and my best friend can tell you that. We've had
Hmm.
countless arguments. So I'd never bad talk her or anything. It's still always good to see her.
Yeah, I had a lot of feelings going into the halftime show. Now, full disclaimer, everything that I'm about to say might not necessarily be my thoughts because I was sitting next to the wife and we had some other friends over watching the game. And
Mhm.
before the halftime show even got started, she was talking about how it might be nice for somebody to be lowered from the ceiling. And then she and all the dancers come down from the ceiling. And I said, being the insurance man that I am, that will probably never happen because of the amount of liability that they'll be
Yeah,
exposing themselves to when lowering all of these people from the ceiling. The most that
yeah,
we might get is like a one person or
yeah,
maybe
yeah.
like two people coming down from the ceiling. Only then for platforms to be dropping from the
Platforms.
ceiling
Yep, platforms.
with people on them and with Rihanna front and center in her red outfit. And of course, it literally took like 2 seconds of her appearing on the screen, because the first thing that they gave us was this beautifully framed shot of her face, and she just had this very intense look, typical Rihanna look on her face, and the crowd was just going crazy. And then it came out, and you recognize, oh wait a second, something here is looking a little bit different. It's not quite what we expected. And she goes through the performance, and she does some stuff. There's some choreography between her and her dancers. But remember, when she first started, she wasn't much of a dancer. The dancers were the ones who were doing a lot
Mm-hmm.
of the stuff around her, and she
Mm-hmm.
was doing a lot of the singing. She's gotten much better at that, as she's gotten much better at singing. Her voice is superb now. I mean, a lot of that is some good studio work as well, to be fair. But we cannot take away from what she has been able to do in improving as a singer.
No, agreed. And
So,
and to sorry, just to
mm,
add in real quickly, and that is why I said that Diamonds was going to be her last song, because I feel like that is her most powerful vocal song to me. To
mm,
me.
I don't think it is. I think she has some other songs where she does more vocally than Diamonds,
Hmm.
but
Well, I
in
mean,
terms,
you know what? I should say in terms of her hits that she would perform. I
right.
think to me, Diamonds is the mecca of her hits, like vocally. So I always
Hmm.
expected. That's why I always expected that to be the culmination of her performance. Because to me, Diamonds, and I don't want to make this comparison, but it's just because it's not because of the artist, but because of the song. Diamonds to me, to Rihanna, to me is like Halo to Beyonce
Mm,
in terms of like in terms of their use of the vocals. That is just a they're both powerfully vocal songs for both artists, and in terms of them
hmm.
being hits as well. I can't necessarily say that they are the most vocal in the best vocal like in totality of the music, but just in terms of the hits. So that's
Hmm.
why I always thought that, because that is the one where to me like she's get some good breathing in that one. Just going back to just Riri. So that's why I said that would be her last time. I wasn't disappointed. I still want to know what Ricky giving me though. I
But
mean,
see, but Ricky gave you the easier one to go with, because he asked you which one was close, and he gave me what song was going to begin,
oh,
and
that's
that was going to be so much harder to pick,
yeah,
because I sat down, I thought about it, and I was like, well, obviously whatever she's going to start with is going to be a big song. I
yeah.
mean, she doesn't really have not big songs, but she's going to come with something that has energy, it has power, it will get the crowd right into the performance from the jump. I'm
Mm.
even trying to find what I said in the chat, because I really can't remember. I know that one of the three was the one that she started with, which was Bleep Better Have My Money.
But yeah, yeah.
So when I Right, so right, so I said Pawn the Replay might have been
Mm,
one, just for nostalgia's sake, because that's the
mm,
one that she started with. But when I thought about it, I was like, really and truly, in terms of the vocalization, as we've been talking about, and just
mhm.
the plain singing, she that was when she was no starting out. She has improved a lot since then. So maybe it was not going to be that one.
Right.
Bleep Better Have My Money was my third option. I thought Diamonds might have been one that she could have started with, but
Uh-huh.
it fitted better as a closer. So I was happy that at least I did have it in there.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
but I mean, shout out to the entrepreneur as well, because in the middle of the performance, she gets a little Fenty, touches up, hands it back off. I was like,
That
that is perfect.
that
That
that was some of the most balling ish I've ever seen. In the middle of a performance, to just see the woman touching up, I was like, you know what? I can't even you can't even hate on that. That was
exactly.
perfection.
Just
That
do
was
it.
perfection. Yeah, yeah.
Just do it. So yeah, I mean, we I was very very proud as a Barbadian to see a daughter of the soil
Mhm.
headlining the Super Bowl. That was a moment that I guess for those who have kids, they tell the kids about. I don't have any kids, so I can't say I tell my kids when they get older. But for those who have kids back home, I mean, I don't know if you knew AJ, but there was a watch party in the Garfield Sobers gymnasium.
I did not know that, but I'm not surprised.
Yeah, they opened up the gym, said it was
Yeah.
free admission. Whosoever will can come. And I can imagine what the atmosphere was like inside the gym when
Mhm.
she started. Listen, let me just move on because we can start here and talk about
Now
Rui.
thinking about it from that aspect, yeah. I mean, I did like I said, it did fill me with a sense of pride. The Bajan half of me did fill me with a sense of pride. I still did love to see it though. Yeah.
It is true. So we can start here. We can literally talk about Rihanna all night long if we so chose. But there actually was a game that played, and we touched on it just briefly. But one of the things that came up, and you couldn't get away from it, it was the field. These players were all there slipping and sliding like a dog on tiles. You saw men trying to plant, trying to turn, and just slipping. And it wasn't just one side or one set of players that were slipping. Obviously, both teams are playing on the same field. You have both sets of players slipping all the time. So, the question that I'm asking you, since you watched the game as well, how big an impact do you think these field conditions had on this game?
Um, I think it impacted it, but not greatly. I don't think that. I mean, I also saw a quote from Hassan Reddick after the game saying that it's the worst field he ever played on. But
Hmm.
they asked the man that question less than 24 hours after the game. What the heck else was he supposed to say? Because it was, I mean, it was blatantly obvious that the field was impacting the players, and this man just lost. Not that Kansas City Chiefs say that, though. Not one of them say that.
But
'Cause
they didn't describe it that harshly. But they
But right,
also
so that's what I'm
said
saying. Right,
that
so that's what I'm saying. They didn't describe it that harshly. I mean, no, but it's obvious. Even sitting on our coaches, Ken, watching now, we could see that Greg Olson and what's his name in the booth were
Kevin
even
Burkhardt.
right, were even mentioning it as well. So it was obvious that there was some impact, but I don't think it had a great enough impact that it greatly affected the outcome of the game. Like I don't believe that had the field been a non-issue, that the Eagles would have won per se, or it would have been a blowout or something. I don't think they feel affected in that regard. But it is a major issue because, and correct me if I'm wrong, but this, from what I remember hearing, this wasn't the first time they've had issues with that fielder.
Mm-mm, it is not.
Exactly. So it is something that the NFL has to address, and not just, and well, not just solely, if not for anything else, solely for player safety.
Hmm.
Like you can't be having this, and this was a Super Bowl. The NFL is actually really lucky that no player got seriously injured here. That
It
would have
is
been a
true.
much bigger issue. Luckily, we were still able to get a very good product on the field, but this is not something that we should be having going forward in Super Bowls. Come on, guys, really?
Yet no, the thing is, Hassan Reddick saying that this was the worst field that he's ever played on. It is possible that that could just be a lot of emotion coming out. He also could be right. AJ, these guys were playing in a dome.
Yeah,
I do not know if the roof was open or closed. However, I would like to think that the roof was most likely closed because you are playing the game in Arizona in a dome because you want optimal footballing conditions. This is why Denver, for example, will never get a Super Bowl because we got a big open air stadium downtown. And who knows what the weather is going to be like that first weekend in February because Denver's weather is very, very finicky. Like for example, we have 62 degrees today, and we
hmm
have a snowstorm rolling in tomorrow evening. So that tells you what you can expect when we're talking
oh,
about like Denver weather. You'll not get
yeah.
one in Buffalo either because chances are it will end up in Detroit because a snowstorm might roll through and then the stadium is completely buried
Well
in
played,
snow.
well played.
So when we are talking about this game being held in Arizona, you're expecting that the field is going to be great.
Mhm.
Again, it's not as if the Arizona Cardinals were playing any postseason football. They had 6 weeks to get this field ready. There's
Yeah.
no excuse for this field to be as bad as it was because it literally looked like you. I'm sure you growing up in the Caribbean. I growing up in the Caribbean. You remember the days when you would go outside to play some football, soccer for the Americans who might be watching, and the rain falls, and your nice grass all of a sudden gets like really, really muddy and really, really slick.
Mhm.
That's exactly what that field looked like. Like, did they have the roof open and was it raining buckets of drop in the desert to make this field this bad? And then it was not just like the grass itself, but the paint that they were using on the field was also causing a problem because when the guys were
Yeah,
running in the painted
every
areas,
single.
they were slipping.
Well, I was tense every time I saw, like, especially Jalen taking a snap on that paint, and even when he had dropped back, because a lot of the times he was in the middle of that field, and I mean not just only in the middle, because they had like the NFL logo right in the dead in the center, and then obviously Super Bowl 57 logo on each side. So it was a
Hmm.
lot of paint in that, and it was really scary. And then who was it? There was a running back it was one of the Eagles running backs, right?
I, I
I
think
think he
so.
slipped in the paint. It was either I'm pretty sure it was Miles Sanders. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure it was. And I was tense every single time because I'm like, don't let one of these men get injured on some foolishness like this. And I just got knee sympathy, right? I've twisted my knee playing football, so every time I see, like, I can't watch those injuries.
Hmm.
I cannot watch those injuries because I start to feel it in my knee, and I literally have to like, like that kind of thing. So I was just gritting my teeth, and like, please don't let it be that kind of case. I mean, that feeling didn't overwhelm me, but it was just kind of like every time I saw them, I was like, all right, they okay, cool. But
Hmm.
it was ridiculous, though.
Yeah, and it comes back to the same point I just made. They
Mhm.
had 6 weeks
6 weeks,
to
yeah,
prepare this field. You can't tell me that you can paint this field just after the regular season finished. So you had all the time in the world for this paint to dry and be in pristine condition so that when we come to play now, nobody is slipping. We don't have these issues. I don't know what it was or why they didn't have the field prepared properly, but the field was an issue. I'm glad that, as you said, though, that we were able to get through this game without any serious injuries because at
Mhm.
no point in time did we have to get anybody carted off or anything like that. They have very few stoppages for injury. Even like when Isaiah Pacheco, he got blown up by CJ
Yeah,
Gardner Johnson.
yeah,
He was just out for a play and then he was
yeah.
back in the game. So I was glad to see that we were able to get through the Super Bowl without any serious injury, but that field was atrocious. The field
It
was
was,
definitely a problem.
it
So,
was.
now to talk about the game itself and these teams, AJ. The Eagles were up by 10 at the half. They were up 24-14. I took a photo on because ESPN they showed they were going through their post game stuff. They said
Mhm.
at the half the Eagles ran 44 plays to 20 plays by the Kansas City Chiefs. They had 21 minutes and 54 seconds time of possession. They had 183 pass yards to 89, 87 rush yards to 39. When you hear those kinds of numbers, there's no way that you would think that today the Kansas City Chiefs are the Super Bowl champions. So where did it go wrong?
I kind of I kind of thought about this all day, right? And this is I guess this is why you wanted me to stick a pin because I'm gonna get back to this here now. This is a point that I've been mentioning to you for not the entire season, but for a better part of the season, right? The fact that the Eagles are slow second half starters, so they blow you out in the first half, like have build a sizable lead, and then it obviously forces their opponents to have to throw the ball in the second half. So even when they start out very slow, the opponent who has to throw the ball is coming up against the best pass rush and best one of or the
One
best
of the best secondaries.
statistically right best defenses pass defenses in the league. So that's why they were able to win a lot of games. And like Justin is all has been saying week after week, this team, that Eagles defense relied a lot on turnovers. The thing is, right? I don't even think that is where it went wrong. It's kind of their identity, but they've been doing it all season. Like, and I maintain what I've said from the start. It's not sustainable to win a Super Bowl because you have to play people like Patrick Mahomes. Ken, I honestly don't think that anything went wrong for them. They
Mhm.
scored 35 points. That is still a really good game offensively, and defensively, it is. it's not like the defense was actually terrible on the day, but they had to play Patrick Mahomes and Andy. And no, I can't just give Patrick Mahomes the credit, Andy Reid, because Andy Reid dialed up some good offensive stuff to take. Yeah, he knew what he was doing, and this is not a surprise either. Like, it is Andy Reid. I honestly thought that the Eagles team was solid enough to overcome it, but I was proven wrong, and I'm not necessarily surprised at it because I didn't think it would be a blow like what Tampa Bay did to Mahomes either. I think not what Tampa Bay did to Kansas City. Sorry, let me not say just Mahomes. But I don't think anything went wrong, Ken. I think they just had to face a juggernaut and the most talented quarterback, and I can't say the greatest yet. I can't say the greatest, but the best person, the best we've ever seen anyone play that position, and it's just kind of hard to stop this man. It's almost damn near impossible. The only where it went wrong was him being able to play after seemingly rolling his ankle. That's where it went wrong. So it was nothing that was their fault. I honestly don't think the Eagles could have done anything better. And I'm not even going to mention like the last play, like I said, what we were discussing last night. It They still put up 35 points in the game. If you look at the players that Kansas City made offensively, obviously Jalen had the fumble, but he came back from that. Ken, I don't think the Eagles did anything wrong. I think the Chiefs were just better, which is why I kept stressing on that. The Chiefs won this game, and I don't think it's that the Eagles lost it.
Okay. So, going back to the statistics that I just gave for the first half and how the first half went as we were watching the game. One of the things that we have to take into consideration, and you made mention of it twice already, and this is the first time I'm going to make mention of it, is the fumble. Why I had fumbled myself and called a scumble sometime early in the season, the scoop and score fumble.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
I'll
yeah.
probably just keep calling it a scumble because it works.
That makes sense. It does. It
Yeah,
does.
scoop and score fumble. So we
Yeah.
had a scumble that was taken back to the house. So the Chiefs got a touchdown where the offense did not touch the field.
Mhm.
Now, you remember when we were talking last week about what needed to happen from each team's perspective?
Mhm.
The Philadelphia Eagles, they probably listened to our show, whereas the Chiefs did not. Because the Eagles did exactly what we said that they were going to do, which is that they were going to control the clock, they're going to run the ball, and you would have expected then that once they got up, that it would have been difficult for Kansas City to get back,
Mhm.
because Kansas City this season has not been as explosive as they have been in the past, because Tyreek Hill is no longer there. I heard, I do not remember who said it, but I think it was either Booger McFarlane or it was Steve Young that said that one of the issues that the Philadelphia Eagles has
Mhm.
is that they do not have an explosive intermediate passing game. And when he said that, I was like, that is absolutely true. I could have stolen it and come and said that, that's one of the things that was wrong, and give no credit. But I'm not going to do that. I remember who said it, so I'm gonna
Yeah.
give the credit where credit is due. But that is definitely a problem right now. A lot of what the Eagles do on offense is ball control with Jalen Hurts and the running backs,
Mhm.
or it is big splash plays down the field. If the big splash plays aren't there and therefore you're running the ball all the time, you're always going to be in a close game
Yeah.
because you're not going to be able to pull away from anybody if all you're doing is controlling the clock.
Mhm.
So, from that perspective, you're always then going to allow someone like Patrick Mahomes to have an opportunity to make something happen. And for the majority of the game, that's exactly what he did. His numbers don't jump out at you
Mhm.
based on a Patrick Mahomes performance because 21 to 27, 182 yards, three touchdowns. Key point: no picks, no sacks. So all of that vaunted pass rush could not get home. And then the fact that he did not throw an interception, he did not fumble the ball, he played a clean game. It then put a lot of the pressure back on the Eagles because no, well, they're going for every fourth down, pretty much. Every
Mhm.
four, anytime you saw it was fourth and two or less, you know it was going to be a quarterback sneak, and the Chiefs struggled to start that all night long. However, as the game went on, you saw they were getting closer and closer to stopping it though. There were times that Jalen Hurts did not get there on the first effort. Somebody had to come and push him from behind to
Yeah,
get
yeah,
him over, which is why I don't have a problem necessarily with them kicking the field goal in the third quarter and
hmm
punting in the fourth, because you're not guaranteed to get this fourth
again,
down.
yeah.
Because in the second half, especially, Kansas City's defense is locking down on everything. So from that perspective, I don't think that it went wrong there. But where it went wrong is that 50-yard pass that he threw to Devontae Smith in the fourth quarter, leaving 5 minutes and 15 seconds for Patrick Mahomes to come the other direction. There is no way, AJ, that you can tell me that if you've been dominating the clock for so long in this game, for the entire game, pretty much, why are you taking that shot in the fourth quarter, knowing that more than likely you're not going to get the ball back? We said before that this team, the Kansas City Chiefs, is now much more possession based. They're not looking for the huge splash plays because everybody is playing them with two high safeties. So
hmm
they're going to have to run the ball. They're going to have to take it underneath. Patrick Mahomes, he has improved where he is not, he's not playing like if he can do whatever he wants, whenever he wants. He's taking what the defense gives him, which is what he averaged 6.7 yards a pass last night. But I said that they needed to establish the run. And Kansas City Chiefs were the better running team last night. 158 yards on the ground. Isaiah Pacheco averaging 5.1 yards a carry on 15 carries. I said that he needed to get 20 to 25, but when your quarterback, Patrick Mahomes, on a bum ankle, is 6 rushes for 44 yards, I guess then Pacheco, that's the 6 carries that would have pushed him over 20. So he wasn't needed, but he still was able to give them the runs that they needed. And then even Jerick McKinnon, who became something of an afterthought, he was 4 rushes for 34 yards, averaging 8.5 yards per carry. So the Chiefs were not running the ball down their throat, but when they ran the ball, the Eagles couldn't stop it. So you give Patrick Mahomes that amount of time to run the ball, bring the ball down the field. You can't stop him. You haven't stopped him in the entire second half. 3 possessions, 3 touchdowns. What are we doing? No, we have to possess the football so that we can hopefully get an opportunity again to get the ball back. They didn't do that. And then it was the holding call that some people still don't think is a holding call, even though Mr. Bradbury himself said it was holding. I leave those who don't believe that it was holding to go talk to him because he said it, not me. But the fact is, it put the Chiefs in a position now to win the game. So that's where it went wrong. You don't go for that big shot down the field. You play possession, you milk the clock again, you go down, you see if you can get another 2 point conversion to win the game. That would have been sounder um,
I I hear
offensive
you.
philosophy.
I hear you, but what I will say is I feel like you sort of answered your own self in your monologue just now in terms of like why they had to take that shot. Because first of all, I must say one of the things I said, just a little short anecdote. One of the things I did say for the Chiefs is that they had to lean more on the running game, and they did that.
Mm-hmm.
I did point that out. If you take away Mahomes' 6 scrambles, because obviously those weren't design runs for him, they were scrambles,
Yeah.
right? So take out those. They actually rushed the ball 21 times, and Mahomes had 27 passes. So it was a lot more even than
Balance.
what they did. Yeah, correct. It was a lot more balanced than what they did last time with when the leading rusher had 9 carries,
Yeah.
right? So I'm glad to see that they did do that. With regards to the Eagles, on what you said, I get what you're saying, and from the X's and O's standpoint, you're absolutely correct. But you also did mention that number one, they don't have a very good intermediate passing game, and then secondly, they weren't running the ball well on the night. So I feel like it kind of left them with no other option but for Jalen Hurts to bomb it down the field, and then it just ended up working out. And I guess at that point you're thinking, all right, well, all right, to what you made mention of, the defense hadn't been able to stop Patrick Mahomes in the second half, but with that kind of all-world defense, you still want to put faith in them to be able to stop him. And yes, they were that close outside of if had Bradbury not had that call out. And Bradbury does have a history of doing this. He's getting a little handsy. He just get a little handsy. Because it's only afterwards I really take stock. I didn't even hear anybody say this, but I just remember that this man was with the Giants for real though. When it was brought to my attention that he was a Giant, I was like he was a Giant. I was like this is man. And I remember him being he's a little handsy for real. Now to stick up him right now, I'm just adding this. One of the main issues I had with that call was not. I know I was saying that it wasn't a whole tip. What I should have articulated better. This is right after me. What I should have articulated better is that to me there were more egregious calls that were overlooked. Not just in that game but throughout the playoffs. Uh-huh.
Hang on a second, because right now, for some reason, your audio and your video have fallen out of sync, and we are getting you coming through like you're in a fast forward at points. It's pausing and then it's giving us a lot that we can't really understand. So let's try it again. Let's see if anything is any better.
I'm still seeing it like that for real. I don't understand what is happening.
Yeah, I don't understand what's happening either, but um, hopefully it'll sort itself out soon.
Yes, I'm seeing it like that too. Like audio and video not matching up. I don't know what's going on here. Never had this issue yet.
Well, maybe it's saying that we've been going on this point for too long. But of course, we'll have an opportunity to revisit this next week, because I'm waiting for our other two cohorts to make an appearance. They declined to show tonight. It being Valentine's week, I'm not giving them any grief about that. Under normal circumstances, I'd be saying something along the lines of they picked the Eagles. I know they don't want to kind of see my smiling face, but I'll be wearing this smile next week as well. So we'll see. We'll see what happened there. Um, we had one more question on the rundown, but AJ, I think we can leave it for next week.
All right.
We can, because there's plenty of time to talk about the Chiefs being a dynasty or not. And I am interested to hear what you have to say, but with your audio playing the fool, we'll not force it now. I'll keep my thoughts for another week, and we'll definitely have this on a rundown next week. We did intend to be here for an hour. We were around about 43, 44 minutes. So again, I want to wish everybody a happy Valentine's Day. Celebrate however you choose. If you're not in the celebrating mood, well, I know there's always stuff on cable and on Netflix that you can occupy your time with, or you can just get a good night's rest. Your choice. I am not here to tell you what to do. Just do whatever you do and enjoy yourself. As you would have noticed, this is not the usual fare. So any comments that were made during tonight's broadcast, unfortunately, we will not have seen them, because AJ and I will not be sitting down here watching this broadcast tomorrow or today, as you're seeing it. We are not here. So we will be with you next week, where we have Justin, hopefully. We'll have Ricky, hopefully. AJ will be back. I'll be back. I'll have another red shirt on, because I am wearing red all the way through until I get all of these men back on this show. So, as per usual, that is AJ. He's the green in the green shirt. And don't forget, he backed the Green Eagles for the Super Bowl. I am Ken. I am the beige in a red and white shirt, because the Chiefs wore a white shirt on the day and red is their main color. And we will see you next time.